In order for your team to grow, the leader's vision has to be bigger than everyone's in order for everyone else's dreams to fit inside of theirs. So you as a leader, if your vision and your dream is not big enough to fit everyone's goals inside of that, you're going to be the cap of people's success, and then you're going to start seeing people leave your company because they can't grow anymore. I don't think that someone can do it as good as I can, so I'm not going to do that.
When you have God in your business, in your life, in your trajectory, it's not impossible, it's I'm possible.
Yeah.
Right? What a lot of people don't see is that there's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of things that people don't talk about.
Yeah.
You could talk to God and tell him what you really feel, and that would change you to a new trajectory.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
100%.
All I can say is, if you're not going through those seasons now, just wait, it's coming, but don't stop. When you need to be silent, be silent. We know you might be going through a suffering right now, but it's okay, because you're just sacrificing a little bit to go to the next level.
Everyone has a plan until they get hit in the face. Everyone has a plan until they get hit in the face. Hey guys, welcome back to the Young CEO podcast. Today it's me and Zeke on the podcast. And today, if you're looking for clarity inside of your business, you've reached the right episode, because today I'm going to be talking about 3 things that can take your business from disruption to expansion. And I know that every business wants this. So guys, welcome back to the podcast. Zeke, what is going on?
Not much. Thank you for having me in your podcast one more time.
Absolutely. Dude, we just got back from an event in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, a perspective leadership summit. I think one of the biggest events that I've been to this year so far is a two-day immersive deep dive into personal and business. Tell the audience a little bit, like, what did you get out of the event, and like, what was it for?
Well, let's start there. Like you said, it's a perspective leadership summit, right?
Yeah.
So when I listen to the title of it, it's gonna be related with business. It's gonna be a lot of tactics and strategies to up level your business, right? And the very first thing we did was like go around the room introducing each other, and we had to say one thing that we were all looking for, right? And like 8 out of 10 people said that they're looking for clarity.
Yeah.
Clarity for their business, clarity for their goals. And honestly, the biggest takeaway was that we probably spoke maybe 20% business.
If that. If that. Yeah.
And 80%, 90% maybe was talking about the different types of perspectives we have, right? Number 1, putting faith, putting God, Jesus first is the number 1 thing we should always do. If we're looking for something bigger, we have to seek the right leader.
Yeah.
Right?
And there was a lot of business owners in there, and that was kind of like, I wasn't expecting to get like everyone to say, "Hey, I want clarity in my business." So, and it was like 90% of the people say like, "Hey, I need clarity." And there was other people that they're there for breakthroughs, and they're like, they've been praying for this. But there was most of the people, 99% of the people in the room were business owners that either had a business, a smaller business, a big, medium-sized business, and a big business. So, and that's the reason we wanted to get on this podcast today, is to go through like how to get clarity in your business. You might be at a breaking stop point in your business, and you're like, how do you get from disruption to expansion, or how they say it, a slingshot from the place where you're at to where your business is growing at 100x, or 10x, whatever growth you're wanting. So today I want to give you 3 things that every business goes through in the building and growing stages. So I'm super excited for this podcast. Super excited to have Zeke with me. We flew up there on Wednesday or Tuesday? Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday we flew up there. We landed. It was just an awesome event. I was telling you, it was one of the events that, like, I was at a Russell Brunson event, 5,000, or it was 6,000 people in the room, and there was a lot of tactical tools that you learned at that event. And then this event, my perspective on this event was literally everything that you need as a human being, as a leader, to grow you first, like grow the foundation and to find clarity within yourself, which I talk about this a lot, the 3 C's in your life. It's confidence, clarity, and certainty. If you have those 3 things, that can get you a long ways. And there's a lot of things that people are missing in their life are those 3 C's. So starting with what I want to talk about, what every business goes through, and the teaching on this is like a baseball diamond. You know, you got see, be, do, and have. Every business starts out with a God-sized vision. You know, my vision 6 years ago was building a shed, and then 2 years later, we're going through. We're getting some hard stops. We're getting the talks of bankruptcy. We're talking about how do you make payroll? How do you hire top level A level executives? And I feel like every business goes through this. Is they start a business, they get the vision, and then what happens?
I love what you're asking me, but first I want to go back. You said something very important. I think that we know what it is, but our listeners probably don't know. You said God-sized vision. Can you touch on that a little bit more?
Yeah, God-sized vision is, I think, too many people are thinking too small. As a kid, this takes me back to a kid. How many kids do you see and they're just big dreamers? They're dreaming of all of these big things, and then all of a sudden we get into our teenage years, you get into school and high school, and then you get into 18 years old, and then you're still dreaming, but you're not dreaming very big because you've gotten knocked down so many times, or someone told you no, or you can't do this, or you can't buy that, or your parents said, hey, you can't afford that. We're a poor family. We can't do that. And so it's taken that creative side out of you. And this is what this whole event was for, is to bring that creative side back to you to where you can have hey, ask God, what is that vision that you want for me? Install that vision for what you had. Maybe it might be you starting a business. It might you take your business to the next level where your business has kind of been boring. You've been doing that 2 million or that 1 million or 5 million every year, and you don't seem like you're growing. It's because your vision is not big enough. And I feel like that's a big part of why leaders don't grow, is because in order for your team to grow, the leader's vision has to be bigger than everyone's in order for everyone else's dreams to fit inside of theirs. So you as a leader, if your vision and your dream is not big enough to fit everyone's goals inside of that, you're going to be the cap of people's success. And then you're going to start seeing people leave your company because they can't grow anymore. So why does God put that big idea, that big audacious goal inside of you and say, hey, go do it? Well, I think he does, reaching back to God-sized vision. I think he does, but I think people get disrupted.
Or they are scared.
Or it's fear, which that was another big thing in the event was fear. Fear of starting that business, fear of, hiring that person, fear of this is a big one. I don't think that someone can do it as good as I can, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to hire that, because if I don't do it, then no one can do it. Or I don't want my name to be bad, so I'm not going to let anyone else do it because it's going to mess up my reputation. That was a big one in the event too.
Yes, very big. And
sorry, I can talk a lot.
No, I love it. I love it. And I think something that was stood up a lot was when they were talking about human math and God math. Yeah. Right? Can you explain a little bit more of the God math so people could understand what the God-sized vision actually is?
God-sized vision is our goal right now is 100 million. What is God math? Hey, I can't seem to make this $50,000 payroll. Well, God can. Yes. Your math might not be God's math. Yes. Your math is not God. Yeah, your math is not God's math. Hey, I don't see me having 100 employees as your team. What about God? What if he's saying, hey, go out there and just do it. Yeah. Just do it.
Yeah. And I guess the biggest thing is human math would be 10 times 10 equals 100, right? Yeah. But God math, 10 times 10 could equal 10,000.
Yeah, or 10,000, yeah.
Right? It's something impossible. When you have God in your business, in your life, in your trajectory, it's not impossible, it's I'm possible. Yeah. Right? That's the biggest thing. And what a lot of people don't see is that there's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of things that people don't talk about. Yeah. Right? And we understand that. Now we understand that because we don't all want to talk about it, right? Especially if you're the business owner, or you're the head of the organization, you don't want to tell the problems to other people because you don't want disruption.
Yep.
But you could always come back to God. You could talk to God and tell him what you really feel, and that would change you to a new trajectory.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
100%.
And
100%.
that changes from just getting that resistance in the slingshot. Talk about the resistance on the slingshot.
Yeah, so I mean, every business, and I would say this happens if you're at year 2 to year 4 in your business, you're gonna start seeing some resistance, the disruption inside of your business, which I'm gonna talk about those 3 things. I've got them written down so I don't forget. Those 3 things that every business goes through in this phase. It might be year 2, 3, 4, 5. You're gonna, depending on how fast you're growing.
So you're saying that it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
Okay.
It's gonna happen. Like, you just better like buckle up. That's why a roller coaster ride. Why do you buckle up? Because it's gonna be an interesting ride, right? So you might as well be along for the journey. Like, create some fun, make some fun of it. Go to these events. Go have fun with your team. And I love doing that because it gets me in my peace mode. Because there's times in business where you just need to you got to release. And that's going to be another topic that I'm going to speak at, that I spoke at this event about. There was 3 things, stop, drop, and roll. We're going to do another episode about that because I think every business needs to understand that part. But every business, I've seen it in our business, top employees quitting, bankruptcies, not being able to make payroll, not knowing how do you build a tiny home in 48 hours? How do you do that? Hey, you have 100 customers. How do you fulfill on that order? How do you deliver? How do you deliver a 20 by 60 down the road? Those are all things that are going to disrupt your business and be like, hey, how do I fulfill this? Now that I've sold it, how do I fulfill this? And I believe every customer, every company goes through this. And normally it's the leaders that go through this, that have to work through this. And we'll do it one at a time. So number 1 is going to be suffering. Every leader goes through a moment where either the leader or the main people of the organization, you go through a suffering phase where it's not comfortable. It's those seasons where you're like, God, when are you going to get me out of this? When are you going to actually give me some peace, right? But you're in that building mode where you're trying to understand, how does this business run? How does it do this? And how does it do this? How can I train 50 employees to do what I do? How can they come across with the same passion that I do? And that's just the season where you go through that. It's a suffering, but Jesus went through suffering, but look at who he was after the suffering.
Well, that's the thing, that suffering is something that must be done or must be had in order to grow, right? Because if you're not suffering, it means that you're not putting yourself in enough pressure to go to the next level. You're not learning enough. And I mean, we all suffer when we don't know something, right? If you're not suffering, it's because you probably know it.
You're comfortable. Those shoes are feeling good. You're warm. You're good.
And it's crazy because it even comes down to clothing. If you think about it, these name brand things, dude, they're very uncomfortable for the most part. It's insane. But you got to go through that suffering point to break out of your shell and go to that next level. Right? And it's difficult when you become a leader because you're not suffering only for yourself. And I think that's the hardest point, because if it was only for you, you could quit anytime and you're done. Yeah. But when you have a team, you got to take care of others. It's not yourself anymore.
It's about serving.
It's about serving others.
Yeah.
And that's what God did a lot, And human society has changed the suffering to just suffering for people, but not with the people. And I think as leaders, it's a little bit hard because you have to go through it no matter what.
Yeah, that's big.
And if you're a leader, if your team is suffering, you got to be in the suffering with them as well. That's what makes
that's big right there, because I see a lot of leaders, and this is what we did in the beginning. We were doing this in the start. We wouldn't suffer with our team. And that's the biggest thing. If you guys can take this, the biggest takeaway is to suffer with your team. If your team's going through a big struggle, get in there, get in the mud with them. Yeah. Understand the process. Understand them. Seek to understand, not be understood. I might be speaking to someone right now. If you're listening right now, and if your sales is struggling, you might have to dive back into sales for a little bit. It might be a year. It might be 2 years. If your business is struggling in marketing, or depending on which area, whichever your weakest link is, that's how strong your company is. whatever your weakest link is, that is how strong your company is. So if your weakest link is in marketing, then just basically look at your company and like, okay, that's how strong my company is.
And the word suffering could come back as a negative word, right?
Yeah.
It could come out, or you could come across it as a negative. But if you are suffering, you are at a point of time that something good is coming up after that. So if you are suffering, be thankful for that. Be thankful for being in that position, because guess what? If you could overcome the suffering, you're going to go to the next level. Right? You're not put into the next level. You grow into a next level.
Right.
And every time you're growing into something, you have to suffer. It's just like the gym. It's rewarding when you get results at the gym. Yeah. But you got to suffer. You got to put in the time. Right? Yeah. Whether you're trying to grow legs, arms, whatever it is, you got to suffer. You got to put in that, like, you have to have that pain for a long period of time in order to grow it. It's the same thing.
Crazy analogy, because if you're breaking down, let's say you're breaking down, I'm doing arm day. I'm doing 13 reps, and then I do 2 more. I'm doing 15. What is it doing? It's breaking down the muscle. That's exactly what in business you have to do, is you got to break down everything. You got to build it, and you break it back down in order to go bigger, right? To become better, you got to break it, and then you can go better. Yes. And then all of a sudden you got bigger muscles, but it takes time. Yes. It's 3 things. You got to have certainty certainty without doubt that I know where I'm going. What's the vision of your company? I'm number 2, confident. I'm confident in my mission and my vision. And number 3, I have clarity on where I'm going and where I'm taking my team. If you have those 3 things, the suffering, like, it'll eventually be like, okay, it's just a normal thing. I got to go through suffering in order for my company to go bigger. Like, I can't go to the gym and not suffer if I want bigger muscles.
100%.
I can't.
Well, think about it like the cold plunge.
Right.
The cold plunge has so many good benefits.
And then the results, like, after you go through the suffering.
Dude, it's crazy. And something that a lot of people would like take for granted is they see all these things happening in social media, right? How getting in cold water is not a big thing. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Get in it. Get in it. And tell me it's not suffering.
A lot of people don't want to do, they don't want to go through that. You know, you don't even have to have a cold plunge. You can just do a cold shower too. Yeah. And it's same benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. Open up your water, get it as cold as you can, and get in there. And tell me that's not suffering. Yeah. But the benefits after that, insane.
Yeah. Let's get into number 2. I wrote down the sacrifice season. And every business goes through. Like, we went, like, when we first started, like I said, in the beginning, you have this big, audacious goal. You have this vision. Hey, I want to start this business, but I don't know where to start. And then you start, and then year 2, year 3, or year 1, year 4 comes around, and you're like, you get hit in the face. Just like I said in the beginning, everyone has a plan until they get hit in the face. Then they don't know what to do with. That's why you surround yourself with wisdom counseling or wisdom, scaffolding. People that have done in business what you want to do. People that have gone where you want to go. People that have the amount of employees that you might want one day, or whatever it is. So sacrifice. What do you have to do in order to sacrifice? There's seasons where you have to sacrifice some things. Can you like share a little bit, like, this season that you're going through in business? You're marketing director of Saddlebrook Live, and you have a family. Like, what did you have to sacrifice? You've been here about a year now, but just so people can relate, like, sometimes you got to go through sacrifice in order to go to the next level. Because you said a little bit ago, you don't go to the next level, you grow to the next level. Talk about that.
Right now, especially in the building phase, anytime you're building something, you're going to have to sacrifice either 2 things, either a lot of time or a lot of money, right? But you have to sacrifice either or. So let's say you can't build something big and great if you don't spend enough time in it. Yeah. Or you pay a lot of money for other people to spend a lot of time in it. It doesn't matter. Either or, it takes time to build something. And in our point in our business is we're growing a team. So I sacrifice a lot of time, not actually doing tasks, not actually doing the work. For me right now, I'm sacrificing a lot of my time with my people. Every time I bring a new team player in my game, I got to sacrifice a lot of my time to personally develop them, right? Why do we do things? How do we do things? Yeah. What's our goal? What is our end mission going towards? And sometimes we don't talk about business. I don't talk about, hey, create this. We need to create that. we got to come back to the fundamentals, and that takes a lot of time. But once you have people bought in your vision and your mission, and you have a bigger team, you could grow faster, right? So that's kind of the slingshot too. Yeah. You could just pull a slingshot and throw a rock immediately.
But where's it going to land?
Go, pink,
yeah.
Right? Versus the harder and the more back you can stretch that rock, the further you can launch it.
Yeah.
Well, it gets to a point where you can't pull by yourself anymore.
Yeah, and you need a team.
You start needing to grow, like bringing a team in so they can help you stretch.
That's that resistance mode where it's harder and harder to pull back, but just know the farther you pull back, the further you're going to be able to go.
Yes.
And that's a perfect analogy. Yeah, I love that.
And the sacrifice comes with the time, because sometimes, I mean, we're probably the first ones here in the office and the last ones to leave.
Yeah.
Well, I go home to my wife and my 2 kids now.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of time that we take away from my kids right now, but I do it and I sacrifice this because I know what's coming.
Yeah.
In the future from now, I know that instead of spending 12 hours doing something myself, I could probably spend 2 or 3 hours within the whole day managing a team that knows what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And a lot of people is just, okay, I'm going to hire, but then you don't train that person. Well, it happens to be that now you spend 6 months to a year with the people, with bodies in your company. Mm-hmm. You bring bodies into the company. Yeah. You don't bring a team, because they're there for 2 things: to know they have a job and to know they have a steady paycheck. Mm-hmm. But they're not on a mission.
Yeah, that's huge.
I could tell you
that's huge.
Now, without a shadow of a doubt, that I have people on my team that will work for free if they needed to. Yeah. Because they're bought on the mission that we're on. Yeah. We're not here just to sell homes. Yeah. We're on a bigger mission. We're here to change lives. You know? Yeah. And that comes with a lot of sacrifice. Yeah. I know my team could sacrifice their own time now if we needed to.
Yeah, and we were on one of the guys has cancer. We just found that out. And you know, you never know what your team's going through, but that sacrifice, you know, if there's 4 letters in team, not one. And that means that in every team, it takes sacrifice. The story that Zeke didn't tell you that I want you guys to know is Zeke for the first part, seen one of our ads. You know, he flew in without his family, left his family in California. He was moving away, from Arizona to California, running big, heavy equipment. But Zeke knew that he wanted a different life. He wanted a life where it's not normal anymore. Like it's to get him outside of his comfort zone, right? And to get into something that's bigger than himself, a mission, a vision, something that he can jump onto, right? And for the first 3 months, Zeke sacrificed. He sacrificed everything. Hey, is this going to work out? I'm in a totally different state. I'm in Texarkana. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm in a brand new place. I'm, walking the business. And one day I want you to share that story. That way these guys can understand. But that was a season of sacrifice. And over the last, from 3 months in, and then the next 6 months, after that it was build mode. You came into, for sales, and then you said, hey, I see a leak inside the business in the marketing department. And you're like, hey, I want to just do it. And you started off, we were not even paying you in the beginning. You were like, I just see a leak. I'm going to get done what needs to be done. And then, 11 months later, it's been about 11 months, about a year now. We've got a year anniversary coming up. You've got 30 plus people underneath you on a team that you now operate. 12 months later, you were working for someone all your life, and that scene, God was taking you through a scene and not your story. 100%. God was building you up for a time and a place for Saddlebrook, for you to operate and build a team and to manage a team, and for that sacrifice. So that sacrifice pays off. You just never know when God's going to give you that opportunity, because God will never give you that opportunity if you don't ever step into it, what God has called you to do. And sometimes I'm calling people up right now. I'm calling you up. It's because you've been playing too small. You think that, fear is keeping you back or something's holding you back. Well, what's holding you back is your limiting beliefs on what you actually believe that you can do. And if you can get rid of that mindset that you have, that your parents installed with you, or someone told you when you were a little boy or a little girl that you can't do this or you can't do that, or that's dreaming way too big, or my family's never done this thing this big. Well, that's false because you believe in the wrong God, because my God, anything is possible. Because if God is for us, who can be against us? And so just a testament for you guys watching this right now, for someone like Zeke to come in with no experience managing a team. Bro, no confidence, number one. He had some ego, but not confidence. He couldn't really speak English, but just got back from this event. This dude he probably spoke 4 times at this event and brought some massive value. I guarantee he shook the room because of the value that he brought. But he sacrificed. Number one, he went through the suffering season, the sacrifice season, for not a short time. And then the third thing that I want to talk about that he went through is the silence season. Those are 3 things that every business goes through, and every person. This goes to every personal individual as well. Suffering, sacrifice, and silence. 3 S's that a business or a personal, before God gives you something big. Because I was thinking this morning, how can God give you capacity if you're already full of what you already have? Just like a spillway, like a dam. If you don't build the dam and God gives you a big rain, what's just going to wash it out? But if you don't build the dam first and you build a good foundation and then all these orders come, what is your business going to do? Mm-hmm. It's going to crumble. So actually God's taking care of you by not giving you more business because of the capacity that you have. Let me say that a little bit louder. What's your capacity inside of your business? It might be clarity. What am I good at? What do I need to work on? Do I want to go through the suffering season of my life? What am I avoiding? A lot of people are stuck in that, And so that silence season is honestly one of the most important seasons of your life, is because those are the seasons where you're not the loudest in the room. You're quiet. You're just in build baby build time, right? And you're understanding that it's not my time yet. It's not my time. It's not my time. It's not my time. Seek to understand, not be understood. Just stay in the dark. Build on you. Build your confidence up. Build your certainty up. Build your clarity up inside of your head. What do you want? What do you truly want? Write those goals down. Those things are literally gonna build a team, right? Talk about that silence season. I just wanted them to know your story. Your story is inspiring. I know it'll be inspiring for people watching this. And this podcast, number one, I just want to be real.
Yes.
This business, you can look at my business. It ain't perfect. Every day we go through something. We go through suffering and sacrificing time. I love our team. I believe that we have one of the best teams in the world. I believe it. Nobody will ever convince me that I'm wrong, because I believe it, because God has given us this team to be better every day and to just do life together, right? And talk about that authenticity, but that silence season that even you went through, so they can relate. If they're going through that season right now, if they're going through that silent season where things are not working out, or they're just in a season of no.
Well, you got to start back to where you have to have your God-sized vision, right? When you have a God-sized vision, when you have a goal, a direction, somewhere you want to go to, you have a destiny. You have to know what's going to come upon, right? So this podcast is phenomenal because you're pre-warned right now. Pre-warned as what's going to happen. Because if you haven't got through these seasons and you actually want to build something big, you are going through these seasons no matter what. With that being said, I think a lot of people forget to be silent. So you have to come back to a God-sized vision, right? Once you have clarity and direction and you know where you want to stop, where you want to go to, that's where everything starts. Because these seasons are coming upon you. It's going to be super hard. It's going to be
inevitable.
Yeah. It's something that's going to happen yes or yes.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of how, it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people forget to be silent when it gets hard. That's when people start getting out of their zone and then start saying how hard it is, how difficult it is, that no one understands them, that this is harder than they thought. And words have power, bro. Lot of power.
We learned that this weekend.
We saw that, right? Firsthand. Words have a lot of power. And when you say you can't do it anymore, it's so hard. It's more complicated than I thought. It's difficult. This is not what I wanted. Like those words have so much power that they will actually lead you into that direction. Mm-hmm. But if you stay in silent and you build and build and build and build,
yeah, that's
when true change happens, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a phrase that they say is help enough people get what they want, and you will always have what you want, right? So I'm a true believer in that. A lot of people talk about provide value, and we as human beings have a misunderstanding of that because we think providing value means you're gonna buy something for people, or you're gonna give them something of high value, a gold chain, diamonds. All this is value for people. I'm going to give them a car. I'm going to give them a house. That's value things. That is a hard value asset thing. But giving value could be listening to people. Giving value is giving advice to people. Giving value to people sometimes is being quiet.
Yeah.
That's being valuable.
Yeah.
Right? And probably the most valuable thing that there is in the world is understanding.
Yeah.
Understanding everybody's points of view, because not everybody's the same. Not everybody's done and created the same. But every time you create something, it takes time, and it takes effort, and that's something we all have to understand.
Just like a diamond.
Yes, I mean, just think about it. Diamonds have to be going through
pressure, heat,
in crazy amounts of pressure and crazy amounts of heat, super heat, right? And then you get them out of there, and they cut it up, they polish it, and it's a very determined process.
Yeah.
But if diamond doesn't go through that process, it's just a rock.
And it's sacrificing, it's suffering, and it's in silent. Like during the build time of a diamond, it's going through the heat, it's going through the pressure, and then it gets cut, and it's it's a process. Yeah. It doesn't happen in one day. It doesn't happen in a year. It's like always building in your business, and I love that.
If it doesn't go through that, it's just a rock. It's just another rock.
The value's not there.
Exactly.
There's no value because you didn't build upon value. Like why do you want to pay $5,000 for a diamond or $10,000 or whatever the price is? Otherwise, it's just a normal rock.
And think about it. Like how big can that diamond actually come out to be? Once it's finished, polished, and done, and goes on a ring, bro.
Yeah.
How small does that rock come?
And people spend a lot of money on rings. Which, going back to those three things every business goes through is the sacrificing, the suffering, and the silence seasons. Those 3 seasons. And then, once you go through those, I know God always has something on the other hand because God is always working in the back end. Always. Yeah. Once you do that, then you're in slingshot mode. Then you can go past disruption and get turn into stage of multiplication. Who doesn't want multiplication in your business? Who doesn't want to go to 100 million? Who doesn't want their profits to be 30%? Who doesn't want to have that slingshot success? So we're going to end it with that. Hopefully those 3 things can multiply your business. Whatever you're going through in this season right now, those 3 things, we went through those things, and some of those things we're still going through. We're still building on our business. We're still getting better. And hopefully those 3 things ask. Zeke, you got anything else to add?
No. All I can say is if you're not going through those seasons now, just wait. It's coming. But don't stop. When you need to be silent, be silent. We know you might be going through a suffering right now, but it's okay because you're just sacrificing a little bit to go to the next level.
Absolutely. I love it. Hey, guys, go follow the Young CEO podcast on YouTube and Spotify and on all Apple podcasts. And, hey, the only marketing that we have right now is if you guys comment or share this podcast with someone, a business owner, an individual that's going through something right now, an individual or a business that needs clarity. If this is you or you know someone, share this podcast, share it on Facebook, share it out, get it out in the world because this can change someone's lives. Hey, just like me, you can be a part of changing the world just by sharing this link on Facebook or on Spotify. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening to the Young CEO podcast. And like always, everyone has a plan until they get hit in the face. Let's Go.
God, I'm still counting my blessings.